Before getting into the main message, just some updates on things regarding to my content. I haven't blogged in a while. I will get back into that either this week or next week. I'm still contemplating on whether or not Saturday Night Special episode 5, if it's going to be this week or next week. I was thinking about taking a break, but I will make that final decision this Wednesday evening. Speaking of this Wednesday evening, we could have a high level action pack Wednesday night soccer in MLS this evening. Look who's playing. You got Atlanta traveling northeast to New England. Houston, Minnesota. You got Emmanuel Reynoso and Timu Pukki. Now, this is only going to be Pukki's second game. So, it's not really fair for us to expect much out of him, especially a lot of us who never seen him play before to begin with. If anything, we're going to see Timu Pukki really develop into himself and get really adjusted into MLS during the Leagues Cup. So with that being said, Timu Pukki arrived at the right time. Nashville, Philly. Now this could be the biggest game of the night because Philly is on a losing streak. And Philly, if you don't be careful, you could be out of the Supporter Shield race this week. If you lose again tonight and you lose in Matchday 26 on Saturday, Philly, you could be out of this Supporter Shield race. Yes, it is that competitive this year. It is that competitive this year. Last year, Philly, it was just you and LAFC. Last year, by this time, we already knew who was going to win the Supporter Shield. It was either going to be you or LAFC. That is not the case this year, Philly. You got Cincy, you got Nashville, you got St. Louis. Seattle is making a comeback. So this Supporter Shield race is not over. Even though Cincy has a good lead right now, they can still be caught up to. The Supporter Shield race is that competitive this year. So that's something you really got to keep in mind, Philly. You cannot go 0-2 this week. Let's start the comeback. Let's start the comeback tonight versus Nashville. It's going to be interesting. Let's see how you do. LAFC, St. Louis. LAFC. Let's end the losing streak. It's starting to look like LAFC that losing is a habit. That's what it's starting to look like. It's starting to look like that you're normalizing losing, LAFC. And that's a bad look for your brand. You're supposed to be LAFC. You're supposed to be the new Real Madrid. You're supposed to be the team that's getting ready to take over the world. It doesn't look like that right now. Let's end the second half of the season on the right note. Before entering Leagues Cup, All-Star break and Leagues Cup, let's end it on a winning note, LAFC. As for you, St. Louis, Supporter Shield race, it's still possible. And for you, St. Louis, it's not really much I really could say to you because you're a team that's just out there having fun. You're competing well and you're enjoying the moment. And this is your first year. So it's not right to give any terms of serious criticism for you because we're still evaluating you. You're similar to Austin. Like expansion teams, you're still in that evaluation phase like the first 4 to 5 years. But teams that are not in that evaluation phase, is San Jose, Seattle. We are going to see some real veterans play tonight in MLS After Dark. Two historical franchises in Major League Soccer. Now, San Jose is not as successful as Seattle, but San Jose still has a history. They really do. And I still believe that if that original San Jose team would have never relocated to Houston, San Jose will be up there with LA Galaxy in terms of championship titles and prestige. San Jose will be up there with LA Galaxy, DC United, and Seattle. No doubt in my mind. And another thing that makes San Jose really interesting, why we should pay close attention to, is that the people in the Bay are not happy with the current ownership group. Isn't this the same ownership group that's getting ready to move the Oakland A's to Las Vegas? And then the city of San Francisco has publicly stated that they want a pro soccer team. Then you have Oakland Roots. They're getting ready to build a new stadium. I strongly believe that it should be 20,000 seats so you can be in line with Sacramento and Indianapolis. But we'll see what happens. So San Jose, Seattle, that could be some good late night action tonight besides LAFC St. Louis. Lastly, Chicago Fire. Nope, I have not forgotten about you. Chicago Fire, I expect you to go 2-0 against the Canadians this week. I expect you to beat Montreal, and I expect you to beat Toronto on Saturday. I expect you to go 2-0 against the Canadians before we enter All-Star break. If you, Chicago, do not go 2-0 this week, I will be very disappointed in you. Kai Kamara has been very, very quiet lately. I want to see Kai Kamara either tie or break the record this week. Kai Kamara, I want you to either tie or break the record to become second in all-time goal scorers in MLS this week against the Canadian boys. There is no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it, Kai. There is no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it. Now, on to the main message. MLS and USL cannot coexist in the same cities. We see what happened to St. Louis FC. If you've been a long time St. Louis soccer fan, just the game in general. What happened to St. Louis FC? Why did St. Louis FC go out of business? It was because of MLS. Austin Bold. The last time we heard about Austin Bold was what, in 2021? And that they're getting ready to move to Fort Worth? And that they're trying to get a stadium built in Fort Worth? We have never heard from Austin Bold ever since. But why was Austin Bold put in that situation to begin with? It was because of MLS. You see, in St. Louis, you have St. Louis City SC that caused St. Louis FC of the USL to die. In Austin, Texas, you have the Austin Bold having to move out of town because the city of Austin was not big enough for two professional soccer clubs, because now you have Austin FC. So guess what's getting ready to happen next? We're gonna see the same thing happening in San Diego. Yes, San Diego loyalists, I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to burst your bubble if nobody else have told you this. MLS and USL cannot coexist in the same city. It is not going to work. Ever since the two leagues split, thanks to the rise of MLS Next Pro. Now the two are competitors. So San Diego loyalists, enjoy your team while it lasts. Now, I know you're thinking, but what about Landon Donovan? Landon Donovan is MLS's adopted son. They wouldn't allow Landon Donovan's club to just die like that. American soccer fans, y'all really gotta understand the business aspect of sports. And you gotta get your emotions out of this. You gotta see what MLS is doing. MLS is not gonna publicly say this, but I can say this because I'm just an average guy that doesn't have much clout. MLS envisions itself to be the only professional league in America. I don't know by what year, maybe by the year 2050. That's the ultimate goal. MLS 2050, where MLS is just the only major professional soccer league. That is the vision that MLS has. That is the desire. And they are working to make that happen. And the first thing they're doing is locking down the top 50 markets, the top 50 media markets. And yes, San Diego is a top 50 media market. Anybody who stands in their way, they're going to take them out. Landon Donovan, being part of USL, he's kind of viewed as a traitor. Yes, how can the guy who we helped become big and famous and popular, how can he join the dark side? Figuratively speaking now, USL is viewed as the dark side because that's the competitor. It's not personal. It's not like some kind of street gang violence that MLS and USL have. I'm just speaking figuratively. How can you cross into the dark side? Landon Donovan working with USL, MLS views that as a betrayal. So what I'm saying is, MLS doesn't care which former player who used to work in MLS, who has connection to MLS. Anybody who gets in their way to prevent them from being the sole professional soccer league in this country, they're going to take them out. So they don't care that Landon Donovan works for San Diego Loyal. And here's another thing about Landon Donovan. Y'all all remember that comment that he made recently about Christian Pulisic, that he should have chose to join MLS instead of being in Europe. Now think about it. What makes you think Landon Donovan would say something so random as that? Landon Donovan knows the real reason why the national team players are choosing to play in Europe instead of MLS. It's not about quality of play. It's about payday. Maximizing your financial value before it's too late. That's what the national team players are doing. And Landon Donovan knows that. But yet and still, he still made those comments. Why do you think Landon Donovan made those comments? Just keep that in mind when it comes to Landon Donovan's USL loyalty. Now, I am not an enemy of the United Soccer League. If anything, I have been one, not the only, because there's a lot of other people that's doing a good job, doing a way better job than me, promoting American soccer. But I have been one of the voices that have tried my hardest to promote USL. Mainly through my 5-minute reports. If I was an enemy of USL, if I wanted to see USL fail, I would never have done any 5-minute reports regarding USL expansion. I would have never had suggested that USL expand to New Orleans and Jacksonville. If I was an enemy of USL, I pretty much would have just ignored them ever since I started doing this YouTube thing in 2021. The problem that I have with USL is that they are trying to fight a fight that they won't win. USL desires to be a tier 1 league. They want to be in the top pyramid right with Major League Soccer. But what they fail to realize is that Major League Soccer is working behind closed doors to destroy the pyramid. How are they working to destroy the pyramid? The first thing they're doing is locking down the top 50 media markets. That is the first thing that they're doing. Well, that's one of the things. I want to say it's the first. It's one of the things that they're doing. Another thing they're doing, they are strengthening their power in USSF. They are strengthening their relationship with Mexico. And they're going to use the League's Cup to surpass the US Open Cup as the premier national league, the premier national soccer tournament in North America. Don't be surprised if the Canadian Premier Leagues eventually eventually gets invited to participate in the League's Cup over USL within the next 5 years. Don't be surprised if some Caribbean clubs receive an invitation to participate in the League's Cup within the next 5 years. Don't be surprised if some Central American and even South American clubs get an invitation to participate in the League's Cup, because the League's Cup is something that Major League Soccer created, and they're going to do everything they can to maximize their profit off of it. And it's something that they couldn't do with US Open Cup, because US Open Cup is something that they didn't create, and it's something that they don't own. It's about power. So when it comes to this power, a lot of people think that Pro Rel is what will help USL reach that mountaintop of a pyramid that MLS is slowly but surely working to demolish. And if you don't believe me, you better wake up, because Major League Soccer is working to demolish this pyramid. And USSF won't be able to do anything about it. But I'm going to talk about that in another monologue, because it's just, I'm going to talk about that in another monologue. So the thing about Pro Rel, yes, it's good from an entertainment standpoint. It is good. Pro Rel doesn't mean teams are going to play hard every week. That is unrealistic. Teams still have slumps and slides and times of slack, because soccer is a physical sport and it drains the body. You're constantly running up and down, up and down. There's constant movement. The thing that people don't talk much about in Pro Rel is the relegation aspect. Relegation in Europe is not the same as a team being relegated in America. Why is that? Well, one of the aspects is the competitors in a lot of European countries. What other major sports league exists besides football, as they call it? Traditional football. Name the NBA equivalent in Portugal. Name the NHL equivalent in the Netherlands. Name the Major League Baseball equivalent in Spain. Do they have a gridiron college football league in Germany? Do they have a college basketball league in Poland? These are the things I don't talk about, but it matters. Because if a team like Detroit City FC gets relegated in a town where you have the Detroit Pistons and the Detroit Lions and the Detroit Red Wings and the Detroit Tigers, and then it's the same state where you have the Michigan Wolverine football team and the Michigan State basketball team. Who's going to take time out of their day on a fall Saturday to watch a relegated Detroit City FC team? You tell me. Because the USL also, they want this pro rel format to be in the fall. They want their games to be played in the fall because European teams play in the fall. And they don't fail to realize Europeans create a system that works for Europeans. It works because it's in line with European sports culture. Europeans are not making decisions thinking about what the world will think about us. How will the world perceive us? That's not how they do business when it comes to European football. They create business decisions for the best interests of European culture. So if you're USL, you tell me, how will a pro rel league work in the fall when you're competing against other major sports leagues? And you're in a country where a lot of people don't even know USL exists. That's the truth. And it's the same with MLS too. It's the same with MLS. This is a country where a large majority of sports fans don't know that MLS and USL exists. And that's the truth. And you being the second tier league, you're little to non-existent. At least when people hear the word soccer, they're like, oh, MLS, what is that? I don't care about MLS. But then when it comes to the other leagues, it's like, what the hell is that? That's the truth. I'm not trying to be rude and disrespectful. That's just the truth. That's reality. And you, USL, you have to make decisions with reality, based on reality and not fantasy. Now, you expanding to Northwest Arkansas? That is reality thinking. Because MLS is not, Arkansas is not on MLS's radar. It's just not. Now, some more details about the business aspect of the relegation aspect, because we know about the promotion aspect. Everybody talks about that. Relegation. USL, can you afford to lose season ticket holders? USL, can you afford to lose sponsorships? USL, can you afford to lose TV broadcasting rights? It's the teams that get relegated. Can you afford to lose radio time? All this has to be considered because nobody wants to do business with a loser. Most businesses do not want to do business with a loser. Because if you have a relegated Birmingham squad, well, people will say, well, let me just continue to support the University of Alabama football team. Let me continue to support the University of Auburn football team. another case in study. Whether or not Birmingham is relegated or promoted, who's going to choose to watch USL over Alabama football team, college football team, when they have a game against LSU that week on that same Saturday? Who is going to watch Birmingham on that same Saturday when another college football team in Auburn is playing against the Georgia Bulldogs? If Alabama is playing LSU and Auburn is playing Georgia on that same Saturday, who's really going to show up to watch a USL team in Birmingham? Let's be real. That's the reality that you have to keep in mind, USL. Okay, now, let's say Pro Rel is in the summertime. You still cannot forget the relegation aspect. You already have a lot of USL owners who are quietly, secretly talking to MLS owners. As I speak, as you're listening to this monologue, they're talking to them. We all heard the news about San Diego Loyal desiring to join Major League Soccer before the announcement of the new San Diego FC team coming soon in 2025. San Diego is ready to jump ship. We know Sacramento's getting ready to jump ship. We know Indianapolis is getting ready to jump ship. Indianapolis will not build a 20,000 seat stadium if they did not have Major League Soccer on their mind. Sacramento will not think about building a 20,000 seat stadium if they didn't have Major League Soccer on their mind. So the 2024-2025 season, this could be make or break for the USL. If it works, USL will be around for a long time. Will they be granted Tier 1 status? It's not happening. There's a reason why MLS has been working with USSF for the past, 2 to 3 decades. Like, USL, let's be real. Let's be real. Your best chance is to rekindle a relationship with MLS, but I don't think that's happening because that's dead because you got MLS Next Pro now. So this is make or break for you. If it works, this will make you be a sustainable second tier league. You'll be sustainable. You'll be around for a while. Especially if you continue to expand to small market towns like the Northwest Arkansas, like Knoxville, Tennessee. Hell, maybe you can bring back Reno, Nevada. I don't know. There's a lot of places in the Midwest and the Mountain West that you can really tap into just for sustainability. Now, if this doesn't work, I strongly believe if this Pro Rel thing doesn't work, USL, I believe that you can be dead by January 2026. Now, why January 2026? The MLS aspect. We got a World Cup coming up. People from all over the world will be visiting America. Don't you think MLS wants to be the only the only domestic professional soccer face during this time? Don't you think MLS desires for nobody to talk about any other domestic league besides Major League Soccer? And you best believe Major League Soccer is, and if you are still around by World Cup 2026, you best believe, USL, that MLS is going to do everything in their power to make sure that no team practices at any USL facility, at any USL stadium. I guarantee you that they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that doesn't happen, even if that means networking with the local college football teams in your city. Now, is this realistic? USL dying by January 2026. That's no. The reason why I just said could because that what MLS desires. That what MLS would love to happen. MLS would love for you to go ahead with this pro rel in 2024, 2025, and it all falls apart, and then USL is just going defunct by January 2026. Is that going to happen? No, I don't think that's going to happen. But eventually, if this pro rel doesn't work out and teams continue to jump ship to MLS Next Pro, because MLS Next Pro could be the startup engine for professional teams to join MLS. Jacksonville Armada, for example. Jacksonville Armada was recently granted a stadium by the local city politicians, the people in power that, grants professional teams to build a stadium in city land. This spring, Jacksonville Armada and MLS Next Pro team, they were granted land somewhere in Jacksonville. So they're getting ready to start building. I don't know when, but hopefully it'll be before 2026, but we'll see. We still haven't heard anything about Tim Tebow's USL team. The belief is that they're not going to build a stadium in Jacksonville. It'll be somewhere outside of the city, in Duval, somewhere far on the outskirts of town. It probably won't even be in Jacksonville city limits. It'll be in like an unincorporated part of Duval County. But the reason why I bring Jacksonville Armada, for example, is Jacksonville Armada could be one of those teams that starts off as MLS Next Pro and then promote to MLS the same way Montreal, Nashville, and Cincinnati started off as USL and eventually promoted to MLS. Financial promotion, that is. That's the pro rel. That's how pro rel works in America. Like, a lot of people think pro rel doesn't already exist. Pro rel already exists in America, but it's financial pro rel. It's based on how much money you have in the bank. The more money you have, the higher you climb. The less money you have, the lower you fall. Like Rochester, New York, Queensboro, Oklahoma City Energy. I think they're going to come back. I think Oklahoma City Energy is eventually going to join MLS Next Pro. And Orange County, they're going to have to make that decision this offseason. Same with San Diego. Look, listen. In closing, if MLS had the power, the pyramid would be dead. The pyramid will be dead by 2026 if MLS gets what they want. Is it going to happen? No, not by 2026, but I'm telling you, the way the MLS is moving, whether you like MLS or not, it's a good case study of doing business in America. The starting cost, the startup cost of doing business in American soccer, it's a good case study because it's a reflection of business industry in America in general. Startup costs to do a soccer business in America is high. It's the same way in the construction industry. This is the same reason why Pawtucket, they're most likely not getting that soccer stadium done. I don't know about New Orleans. I don't know about Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines, Iowa was delayed because construction costs. Doing soccer, the business of MLS in America, is a reflection of the country as a whole. It's expensive to do business in this country, and soccer is a good case study. So, USL, you shouldn't be doing this pro rel with a vision of being first tier, because that's not going to happen. Your main focus should be sustainability for the long term. If you have a sustainability approach, you will last. If you have a first tier trying to compete with MLS approach, you will die.